And Manny's here, the first two that are here, of course. Lisa says only two are here. If anybody else is out there, feel free to say hello. If there's anything wrong with my voice or the setup, if it's messing up in any way, please let me know. But yeah, good to see you guys again. And how's everybody been? How are you, Manny? And how are you, Rich? How are things going with you? How's the learning music life? Oh, somebody new is here. Hello, the Fire X-Ray. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name correctly. Let me turn this over so I can see it a little bit better. Oh, Rich started to learn to play Ave Maria. And how's that going? I know that can be pretty tough, at least the full version. Of course, I think there's easier ones out there for beginners. But let me know how that's going, Rich. That's pretty interesting. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear it. Can I just call you the Fire? I can call you the Fire X-Ray every time, but I don't know. I like to abbreviate everybody's name. But welcome. I believe you're new, and I'm really glad to have you out. Looks like we have about 5 people. At least that's what the counter says. We'll wait until, maybe we get another 1 or 2. Oh, very good. Yeah, I could imagine that one would be a pretty big step up if you're just starting out. But yeah, excellent. It's always good to challenge yourself a little bit. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what we should do tonight because I didn't really have anything solid planned. And I don't know, I'd kind of like to do something a little bit different than what we've been talking about, which is mostly rhythm and improvisation. Don't get me wrong, I love those topics, but I don't know, like if you think of a good topic to talk about tonight, we'll do that. But uh, no, like nothing super complicated. No, like jazz. I'm sorry, Manny. I'm just a little too tired for that. But something like a little bit easier, something that we haven't talked about like at all. So if you have any ideas, if not, I'll come up with something. I promise. Rich, not working on any new songs. I've been busy. I got my taxes done that I complained about already from Sunday. I got those in on Monday, and then I've been planning. I've been working with a marketing person to get more, traction on the website even, and that went pretty well. But there's like a lot of work that needs to be done. So I'm making a free course. By the way, a free course is coming. I will advertise it on the channel. It's totally free. The only thing I think I'll need is like your email address, but no credit card or anything. And the course will be like basically an introduction to who I am. So if you've been attending the streams, you probably have a pretty decent idea. But I make a video where I talk about it and some just things written out. A lot of those things you already know about me. And then, but most of the course is just going to be like your very first steps. Learning to play piano, maybe like how to get, there's some different resources out there where you can find music to play and things like that. So just some things to get you started, whether you want to enroll in my academy or not, or be a part of the YouTube channel or not. Although if you're here, you probably are part of the channel. But just to kind of give people direction on what they should be learning first and where to get it, as well as an introduction to myself. So that's what's coming in the pipeline, and so I did a lot of that work today, but there's still some to do. And there's changes on the website. So if you go to the website, while everybody is typing in maybe some suggestions, you'll notice the website looks slightly different. LessonsOnTheWeb.com. And it looks pretty much the same as before. I mean, I moved a couple of things around. The student login button's like right there now. And then you can log in from there if you are a student. You can read all this stuff. I'm not gonna like plug my own stuff, other than the fact to show you like what I've been up to. So there's different pictures on the website now. They look pretty nice. I just think they kind of help pace the website a little bit better and help break it up with both images and text. There's still a lot of things I need to work on though, because like I'm going to work on if you go to the free services and the YouTube gallery, I'm going to work on the YouTube gallery to make it even better. I still have things like the new featured section I haven't changed in a long time. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to change up the format a little bit. I'm going to make it even a lot better, I think. And yeah, I just think it'll be even easier to find everything. So if you don't know, by the way, and you're watching this on YouTube, if you go to the Lessons on the Web, the page that we just talked about, the YouTube gallery, you can find all of the playing sheets for the lessons I've done so far. Not all of them, like most of them. You know, the lesson up to 43, which was like the main Learn to Play Piano series, and then the music theory sheets, I have those as well. And then I had a series I made a long time ago that I also have like articles that I post. So be sure to check those out, even though that part of the site will be changing. And I'll just be adding to it, really. I'm not really taking anything away, or it might be moved somewhere else. So that's what I'm thinking about to move to next. And then I'm actually making my academy a lot better, reorganizing it, adding content, of course. So that's just what I've been up to as the owner of Lessons on the Web. Thank you, Rich. Yeah, Rich. Yeah, let me think about that, whether I can utilize you in any way. If you know like a lot about social media or anything, or any of that, we can talk about that later. You know, contact me on Facebook, so we don't take up this whole time. Somebody said boring, which I don't know. That's okay. You can think it's boring, but I just wanted to show everybody what was going on, whether you think it's boring or not, or whether you're trolling or not. That's okay. But that's all right. So good. I'm glad everybody is. Just Fire is fine. So I will call you. Instead of the Fire, I'll call you Fire. I did see that comment. That was a while ago. And then. Okay, so I'm just going to get on with everything because I think I did tell you pretty much about what everything is about. So let us go and start, a new sheet. So everybody always asks me, what is this program called? This is called StaffPad, and I'm not telling you to go buy it. I mean, it is great, and if you want to buy it, go ahead. I'm just telling you that in case you're wondering, because I get that question a lot. Okay, let's see what we're going to do tonight. Oh, I need one thing. Hold on. I'm just going to take that off. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully everybody's still here. Okay, so what we're going to do is, by the way, if anything is ever going wrong, let me know and I'll fix it. But let's take a look here. So, let's talk about... Let's talk about major keys and minor keys. So you may be thinking, oh, we talked about that a lot. And that's kind of true, but I'm going to tell you some new secrets. Some of the ones I've talked about before and some of the ones are brand new. So if you're here tonight, you'll get some additional information. Okay, so here we go. So the key with 0 sharp 0 flats is the key is C major. And you can have, key signatures always go in sharps or flats. You'll never have a key signature with sharps and flats unless those sharps or flats are added in the middle of the piece, in which case they are not actually part of the key signature itself. Those are called accidentals. So that's a new word for tonight. Any kind of note that is not part of the key signature. So if I had a song in the key of C and I had an E flat, that would be an accidental, the flat is, because it does not exist in the key signature. Conversely, if I had a flat in the key signature and it was natural, put a natural sign in front of it, that would also be a accidental, even though the composer puts that there on purpose. I guess it's called an accidental in terms of the key signature. Okay, so key of C has 0 sharps, 0 flats. You're probably thinking I already know that, a million times over. And they, like I said, there's ones with sharps and ones with flats. So the ones with sharps, one thing I want to tell you is that C will tell you a lot of things. So if it's just C, no sharp or flat after it, it's going to have 0 sharps, 0 flats. If it has C sharp, the key of C sharp, that's going to have the maximum amount of sharps, which is 7. Because if you think about it, if you have like the C major scale, and then you have, the C major scale, by the way, has how many notes? It has 8 total notes, right? So why did I say you can only have 7 sharps? Well, that's because the first note and the last note are the same note. So there's really 7 unique notes. You wouldn't have a sharp twice in the key signature. So C has 0, C sharp has all 7 sharps, and C flat has all 7 flats. So C tells you a lot in that if it's C without anything, it's nothing. If it's C sharp, it's 7 sharps, and it's C flat, it's all 7 flats. So just remember those 3. Those can be like your anchor points when you're learning all the rest of your key signatures, because especially as you get into more and more sharps, they're harder to keep track of. At least I think so. Another thing, that was like what I was planning with another student. So another thing to keep in mind is that if you want to figure out what key you're in, if you have the key signature already, let's do that. So pretend for a second that you didn't see in the menu that I selected G major. We have to talk about how would you figure that out if you didn't know anything about key signatures. So I'm going to give you a shortcut. That's what tonight's all about. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the sharp all the way to the right. And if you only have one sharp, that's the one you got. And you play like that note. Pretend like you have a note right where that sharp is. Let me draw it. Like say I had the note on the top line. What note is that, by the way, if it's on the top line? It's going to be F sharp, right? Or an F. And just pretend like there's a sharp on it. So you play F sharp. And then there's only one more step. You go up 1/2 step from there, and that gives you the key that you're in. So keep in mind that the sharps and what notes are sharped aren't ever the same as what key you're in. What key you're in really tells you what note you're starting on. So the key of G is what our answer was. And it tells you what note you end on, basically. I mean, it tells you a little bit more than that, but let's stick with that for now. So with the key of G, you start on G, and you play all the way up, but we have an F sharp in our key signature, so we still have the F sharp that we saw here, but the key name is G, so that confuses a lot of people, but just know that difference. If there is 2 sharps, for instance, you may be saying, oh, well, what do we do now? What did I say before? Well, you want to find the sharp all the way to the right. This time it's on the middle space and the treble clef, and then the second space in the bass clef. So they're actually the same note. I mean, they are an octave apart, 2 octaves apart actually, but they're the same note, right? They're C, and just find C and then go up to C sharp, which is the if you drew a note there, it would be C sharp, and then there's only one more step. What's that final step? It's to go a 1/2 step up. And so your key name is D, even though the 2 sharps you have are F and C. So that's how you do it. So don't try not to confuse the notes that are sharped with the actual key name. We're going to do at least one more of this kind. That one's too easy considering I think we get the pattern by now. And then I know it says it on the menu, but pretend like you didn't see that. So you have 4 sharps, and you didn't see that in the menu, and you're like, oh man, what do I do? What is the first step? I'll wait for somebody to say it. What is the very first step? I have to find something all the way somewhere. Actually, I don't know whether that's showing you the left or the right, but so what is the first step? You have to find the something all the way in a certain direction. Yeah, the last note, Chess. So the one all the way to the right. Great to see you, by the way. Okay, Rich had a question. I'll answer real quick. If a key signature is changed in the middle of a piece, does it stay in that key or just for that measure? It stays in that key for the rest of the piece unless it tells you otherwise. Okay, great. Yeah, you find it. So Chess got it right even though he just joined us. You go to the one all the way to the right. That's sharp. What is that sharp? Well, I won't wait for it. I'll just go. So we go up to the fourth line in the treble clef, and that's D, right? So you play D sharp. You know, if you had a note there, it would be D sharp. And then you go up one half step. So the answer is E. Your key is E, and the four sharps you have are F, C, G, and D. And then the rest of them are all regular notes or natural notes or white key notes, whichever you want to say. Yeah, Rich got it. All right, very good. Now, let's see what we do. One thing I want to talk about is now minor equivalents. I don't think I've talked about this anywhere on the YouTube channel. On my website I have. So what you do to find the minor equivalent is you play whatever key you're in, right? Key at E. And what you do is you go down 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. So what does that tell us? What note did I hit? Well, if you're going from a key signature with sharps, your resulting minor key signature will also be sharp. So you actually won't call this D flat. You'll call it C sharp because the key of E had notes that were sharped in it. It didn't have notes that were flat. So it's something confusing at first, but that's something you'll just have to keep in mind. So you hit E, and you go down 3 half steps. And that's the sharp version, so C sharp. So C sharp minor. Well, I guess I played the... there's 2 different minor... Well, there's a bunch of different minor scales. There's the natural minor, where I don't have the leading tone in. And then the harmonic minor, where I do have the leading tone in. But I won't get too far into that, since that's a little bit of a step above. So anyway, here's what it tells us is that we're in C sharp minor and we have the exact same sharps as before. Now they're in different locations since we're starting on a different note. I mean, they're in the same locations like in terms of what letter they're on, but you're starting on a C sharp instead of an E. So, you know, when you're playing the E scale, your first sharp is the second and third note. Right away you have 2 sharp notes right there. So that's what I really mean by that. So say you're in the key of G major. What is the minor equivalent to that? So you count down 3 half steps, 1, 2, 3, and that's your minor scale, or your minor key. So you may notice that I interchange key and scale a lot. That's because a scale is really to show you all the notes that exist in a key in order. So that's why it's important to practice your scales, because once you understand a scale, you understand basically the notes that belong in a song. It's really helpful for songwriting and understanding music theory and playing as well, because you understand where everything is located and you really have a better grasp of what's going on. So the key at E minor, which is where we went from G, has 1 sharp in it, just like G did. It's the same sharp, by the way. It's F sharp. But remember with the G scale, the F sharp was the next to last key. This time it's the second key. And then again, one thing I want to mention real quick, there's 2 versions of the minor. That's why sometimes you may see me play the minor and notice it has 2 sharps and you're like, oh man, what he told me was totally wrong. No, this is all for what they call the natural minor, and sometimes if I add another sharp, that actually is an accidental, a word we learned earlier, and that's placed at the end. So, you know, if I play it one way and has an extra sharp in there, that's why. Okay, let's see. Okay, how's everybody doing so far? Are they everybody keeping up? Anybody have any big questions or anything? How's Fire doing? Where are you at, Fire? Are you here? Have you left us yet, or are you still in the mix? You don't always have to feel like you have to type it in, but, I love hearing from people. Okay, let's talk about flats a little bit. They work a little bit different. Here they are. Okay, we're going to do the one with one flat first because this technique I'm going to teach you does not apply to this one, and you'll learn why when I tell you the technique. So one thing you're just going to have to memorize is that the key with one flat is the key of F. Just remember that. Key with one flat, key of F. You don't need any kind of fancy, thing to find it. Just memorize it, and you'll understand why in a second. Now keep in mind that even though you're in the key of F, your flat is going to be B flat. So the key name and the flat are different once again. So here we go. I'm going to explain why now. So if I go here, and I go to the next one, has two flats, right? So here's where the technique comes in. You go to the flat all the way to the right, and then you go to the flat directly to the left of that. So here we go. Here's the one all the way to the right. Oh, all the way to the right. Right here. Here it is. This one. And then you go to the one right to the left of that. And what note is that? Or what note would it be if I had a note there? That would be B flat, right? That's the third line up on the treble clef. You play that, and guess what the next step is? Nothing. You already did it. That's your key. The one with two flats is the key of B flat. And it just happens to have a B flat and an E flat in there. So if you don't know, if you're a little bit lost on this lesson, by the way, if you're just checking in, you're a beginner, I really suggest you check out my music theory playlist. If you go to youtube.com/user/lessonsontheweb, there's like a playlist tab somewhere, and check out those music theory videos because those will help you kind of translate into what we're talking about tonight. And then come back and watch the recording of this, and then let me know any questions you have. So if you're watching this in the recording, you have some questions, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to help answer those for you. So anyway, when you do the flats, remember you go to the one all the way to the right, and then you go to the one to the left of that, and that's your answer. That's it. Let's practice some more. I will answer Rich's question in a minute. Okay, key signature. So pretend like that menu didn't tell you what the answer was. What is, well, I can't ask you because you know. We're going to figure out what the answer is. So you go to the one all the way to the right first. And I'm just putting this step in because as you get more and more flats, you need to keep this in mind. So you go to the one all the way to the right. Sorry if I said left. And then you go to the one right to the left of that. And what note is that? Well, it's up on the fourth line in the treble clef. That's D flat. And what's my next step? Nothing. I don't have to do a thing. I already solved it. D flat is the answer. So basically, now that you know it, you can know that you go to the next to last flat. And that's the one. So if you want to take that shortcut, if you haven't already, take that. And you'll get the answers a little bit faster. So I'm going to take a couple questions now. Rich says, what is the point of melodic and harmonic minors? Just to complicate things even more, LOL. Yes, Rich, that is true. But there's another reason. It's because in music theory, well, first of all, the purpose of the leading tone or the purpose of the harmonic minor. So say I'm in A minor. Why did I pick A minor? Because you pick the key of C major, you go down 3 half steps, and the key of A minor has 0 sharps, 0 flats. The natural minor version of it does. The harmonic minor version with the leading tone, which is basically you're replacing the next to last note and you're raising it a half step. The purpose of the leading tone is to lead you back to the starting note. So because natural minor scales don't have a leading tone, they made a version that does, and it has a strong pull back to your first note. Also called the tonic if you are a really fancy music theory person. And then another advantage of having the two scales, the minor scales, is that, let me think about this. Yeah, so you have two choices now of what we call the 5 chord. This might be over the head of some of us. I'm not going to go too much into it because I want this to be somewhat of a beginner's lesson, even though I am assuming that you know a little bit already. But anyway, you go up to the 5th note of the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and having the difference between the G and the G sharp, because that's where the leading tone is, gives us two choices for 5 chords. We can do a minor 5 chord and a major 5 chord, depending on whether we're using that leading tone or not. And it really depends on the style of the song. Some songs, that leading tone has a really good sound to it, and then some songs the composer might not have wanted that kind of sound, so they chose the other one. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. And then the major scale already has a leading tone. For somebody just, joining us, the leading tone is the note a half step away, like whatever key you're in. Say you're in the key of C. It's the next to last note, and it pulls you back to that final note. And because the major scale has a leading tone in it already, you don't need two versions of it. Although there are different versions of it. Those are just called modes instead. So you have like a mixture between a major scale and a minor scale. That is some kind of mode. I think that's Mixolydian. If you have the major and then the top is like the minor version of it, or you have the flat 7th. So basically what a Mixolydian scale is a major scale without a leading tone. So yeah, there are different versions of that as well. But for some reason, we don't call that like major scale version 2 or, harmonic major scale. There's just major scale, and then there's all the modes, Dorian, Lydian, Mixolydian, things like that. Okay, so if you take a look, we're going to do a couple more examples here of telling what key we're in. That's the main point of tonight. Okay. Here we go. How about we do this? Now you may be thinking, we did that one already, and I saw it in the menu. The answer was F major. That's not my question. My question is, it relates to what we talked about a few minutes ago about the minor scales and how to find the minor equivalent, because every key signature has both a major key with it, and it actually happens to have like two versions of the minor key as well. They both share the same key signature, so whatever key signature, F major is the one with one flat. We're going to try to find the minor version. So I'm just going to ask the community what you think. Where is that minor version? Like, what note is it going to start on? What is the key, the minor key? So if it's F major, what equivalent is that? You may have seen it in the menu, but hopefully you weren't paying attention. But what do you have to do? And then, what is the correct answer? Yeah, D minor. See, Rich, you know some of this stuff. I know, like I said, this might be ahead of you, but check out, and some new people have joined us, so check out the music theory playlist. You can check back earlier in the recording to find out where it is. It's in the playlist section, of course. And I think if you watch like the first 10 of those, you'll have a pretty good idea on what's going on. I'm slouching here. I need to stand up, sit up straight. Okay, so how's everybody doing? Move back 3 half steps. Great. Key of D. Minor. All right, how's everybody doing? I know it's overwhelming for some of us. How's Manny doing? Manny, how are you doing? Why haven't I heard from you? Oh, I did hear from you. You said D. Okay, you're there. All right, perfect. I didn't see that for some reason. And anybody else, if you feel like sharing with us, feel free to say hello. If not, you can sit back and, learn something. And you can always come back to the recording later. Like if you need to learn some stuff first, then come back. Okay, here we go. So you may have seen, I selected C sharp major. That's not my question. What minor key is this one? So by the way, while people are answering this, so the question is, if we were in C sharp major, what minor key are we in? To go back exactly how Rich solved this, you find with the other example was the key F major. You go down 3 half steps, 1, 2, 3. So you're going to apply that same kind of thing to this in case you've just tuned in. I'm sorry for exploding everybody's head tonight. But the thing is I wanted to talk about this because I haven't made a video about this yet on the channel. So like I'm saying, like, I know it sounds annoying maybe, but maybe you do, like, maybe you do have some time in the next few days to really check out that music theory playlist. I'll even put it in the description once I post the recording of this. Hopefully I do remember. Please let me know if I don't. But you can find it on youtube.com/user/lessonsontheweb. And then you go to the playlist section. So that should help catch you up. But the reason I wanted to do that is just because I hadn't made a video on this yet. And I don't want to cover like the same stuff over and over again. I do that sometimes because I think it's good review, like with the rhythm and stuff. But I want to do something a little different tonight. So these suggestions may come in handy more later on. Oh, somebody new is here. Hello from Lebanon. Great to have you. So hello as well. So the answer was, I'll answer some more questions in a second. So you get C sharp right, and then you go 1, 2, 3. So the key is A sharp minor. So I'm not going to explode any more heads tonight. So remember, like here, I'm going to boil it down for everybody. So if you're looking at, this is useful even if you don't understand a lot about music theory, because chances are you're going to have to play in these keys at some point. Now some of these keys, like C sharp, you probably won't see for a very long time, but you really should know how to find out, like if you have the key of F major, wherever that is, G major. Sorry, F major is the one with 1 flat. So I wanted you to have the skills, maybe for even just the first few sharps and the first few flats, if you're playing in a new key, to know what key you're in. So what you do, to boil it all down, with the sharps, is you go to the sharp all the way to the right. So if you only have 1 sharp, that's the sharp you have. You play that note, that happens to be F sharp. So how did I figure that out? Well, you go to the top line, that's where the sharp is on F, and you play the sharp. And the last step is to move up a half step to G. If you get that much out of it, out of the sharps, that's all you got to know. Now the flats, let me sum up the flats in just a few simple steps. So the first one you just have to memorize is F major. The next one, or any of the ones after that, what you do is you go to the flat next to the one all the way to the right. So the next to last flat, and you look at that flat and you say, okay, what note would that be? That would be B flat, right? You play that, and you don't have to do anything. That's your answer. So if you can get those 2 shortcuts down, even if you don't understand everything about key signatures and all the other stuff with the 5 chord and stuff I was talking about, sorry about that, by the way. If you can get those 2 things, I think you've made this lesson worth it. Okay, I got 2 questions about intervals, so I'll talk about intervals tonight a little bit. Manny asks, sorry about your other question, Rich, about the experiences. I'll answer that later. Manny asks, I had a music theory question. How do you hear intervals? Because I played an E and play a C as a reference note, and he said it was intervals. Yes, so that is absolutely correct. I don't need the headphones. Anyway, so an interval is the distance between 2 notes. So this is officially part 2 of our lesson tonight because it's kind of a different subject. So an interval is the distance between 2 notes. So you only need 2 of them for an interval. It can be like this, that close, or they can be the first and last note. You know, intervals can be very wide or very short, but generally when you're talking about intervals, you're talking about within an octave. So each interval has a number. You can't do it on a piano, but if you and your friend sang the exact same note at the exact same time, or if you had 2 pianos next to each other, play that note, you call that a unison. So you may have heard the term singing in unison. That's what they're talking about. You're singing the exact same thing. You can't do it on a piano because you can only press 1 key at a time. Even doing that, that's an octave. That's not a unison. So you have a unison. The very next note, if you go from that note and go up a whole step, really just the next note up in the major scale, that's what we call a second. So a second is just, you know, it's 1, 2. That's how I would do it. I count the first note, and I count how many notes are in between there. So 1, 2, and that's it, or the total notes. So if you have the next one up to C, it's going to be 1, 2, 3. I mean up to E rather, from C to E. So that's a third. 1, 2, 3. Third. And then what's from C to F? That's a fourth. And then you have a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, and then an eighth, also known more commonly as an octave. Now it does go beyond that. It does do 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th. You generally don't go anywhere past that. But generally, especially if you're not talking about jazz or anything, you're talking about within this first octave, 1 through 8. And yeah, I would just do it from the key of C to begin with when you're trying to envision intervals, because all the intervals, at least all the major and what we call perfect intervals, I won't get too far into that. I just want to introduce them tonight. So the C major scale makes it easy to lay out all the intervals because they're all the white key notes. Now the thing is, you can start from any note, like you start from A, and you go to the very next note. Well, that's 1, 2, right? That's a second. And then you have a third. So actually what I said, I mean, it still works because you still have from here to here is a fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this is still a 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But as you go along and you learn the different versions of these, there's a major and minor version of a lot of these, or a diminished version. We won't talk about those tonight. But once you do those, you'll have to be more conscious of what key you are in. But for now, yeah, like you can just kind of count. You pick the note that you're on, and then you count how many between, including that note and the last note, how many total notes are there, and that will give you your answer of an interval. Let's go over a few on paper. So I don't really need to change the key signature because that doesn't really matter in this one case. So here's what a second looks like. They look really close together. So this is what these things look like on paper. A third, whoops, what's going on here? A third looks like the beginning of a snowman, right? You have the bottom and the middle. A fourth is a little bit above that. Can't really tell you what it looks like, but just know that if it's a fourth, if the bottom's a space, the top will be a line. But it's the opposite. If the bottom note is a line, see what I do if I move these down one? The top one becomes a space. So just know that those don't match up. A fifth, you'll know it when you see it because you'll move this up. So from F to C, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A fifth looks pretty open. It has a gap in the middle there. It looks like the snowman if you chop the middle away. And that's what it looks like. The sixth is kind of like the fourth. Remember that if the fourth was here where it was space and then the top one's line. This is the same idea, but this is further apart. And then the seventh looks like a further apart fifth. You know, it just has two gaps, two spaces or two lines in the middle there. So there's the two spaces. And then if you started it on a line, oops, the top one will be a line also, remove, but it will be further apart. So now you have two lines in the middle there. So I think that's all I'm going to explain of that, just because I feel like it'll get pretty complicated from there. So that's your general introduction intervals. They're numbers, generally from 1 to 8. It can go further. But remember, an eighth is an octave. And then you have like second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and then your octave. Hello, Rico Minecraft Productions. Hello. You say hello from New Zealand. Hello from the United States, East Coast, Pennsylvania. So yeah, hello. I'm really glad you could join us this evening. And if you ever feel like coming back, we have live streams most Sundays and most Fridays right now from, about 8 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. So that's 8 my time. So whatever time it is right now for you, that's what time this will be. Although you're catching us on the tail end. We began like 47 minutes ago. But yeah, great to see you. Okay, Rich, I won't get too far into this about like how do you know if it's a major or minor, but I'll tell you real quick. So if it's a whole step away and it's a second, that's a major second. If it's a half step away, you still have the same number, 1, 2, right? But it's only a half step away. That is a minor second. And that sounds like Jaws. Major second sounds like Happy Birthday. And then the major third will be 4 half steps away, whereas the minor third will only be 3 half steps away. So you can figure out by how many half steps there are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be what we call the perfect fourth. There is no minor fourth. Now, why is that? Because if you lower the fourth by 1, it just gives you a major third. It has to do with the fact that there's no black key in between E and F, no sharp key there, whereas E sharp is F and F flat is E actually. So it's kind of strange. Oh, thank you, Reco Minecraft. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but yeah, I'm glad that you're able to come out and join us. And I'm glad you love my videos. So, like I was telling people earlier, if you just joined us, I'm sorry if you've been here the whole time and I keep mentioning this. Go to the music theory playlist. Like if you go to my main channel page, YouTube, don't do it now, but after, our lesson here, youtube.com/user/lessonsontheweb. And then you can probably find a playlist section there. Check out those playlists. Those will be really helpful, but especially the music theory one in understanding what we were talking about tonight. Awesome, John. I'm really glad to hear it, and I'm really glad to have you out. I would love to see you again. Like I said, unfortunately, you're catching us on the tail end here, but that's okay. So around, what is it, 50 minutes ago, whatever time zone you're in right now, 50 minutes ago is the time we usually start these live streams. So we'll have another one on Sunday as well. I believe so, unless it's not on the calendar. It is, though. I checked today. So we have another one on Sunday at the same time, and then we'll meet again on Friday at the same time. So that's when you can check us out again. Okay, I'm glad I could really clear things up. I thought it was a really good lesson, even though it was a little bit over some head. But like I said, if you remember those 2 points I talked about earlier in the lesson, and you can check out the recording later, if you want to see that again. Or I think you might even be able to move the thing back. I don't know. But stay listening right now, for now. But basically, remember the two things we talked about. Well, the one thing was intervals, which we just did. The other thing was key signatures, and then there's two main things you have to remember about key signatures. I mean, I did mention a lot of other stuff, but the two things are is if you have a sharp, if you're looking at a key with sharps, you go to the sharp all the way to the right, and this is how to figure out what key you're in. If you're a new pianist and you see a new key, like you see, instead of playing in the key you see all the time, you find one with one sharp. We had to find out what key that is, because you have to know like what the notes are centered around. So you go to the sharp all the way to the right. You can look back earlier in the video. I'm not going to like do it all again. You go sharp all the way to the right, which if it's just one sharp, that's F sharp. You play that note and you go up a half step. So if you understand that, and that gives you your answer, by the way. If you can understand that, you got the whole thing with figuring out what key you're in with the sharps. With flats, you have to memorize that the first one's F, and then after that, like with the key of B flat, you go to the one next to the one all the way to the right. So if you had two flats, B flat and E flat, you would just play B flat, and that would be the name of the key that you're in. Oh, no problem, John. We'll be live streaming 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same time when we started today, so about 52 minutes ago or so. We'll start the same time on Sunday. I'm hearing from a lot of new people tonight. Really great to see. And like I said, I will advertise more for this as we go along, and I'll figure out the little facets of it on how to promote it better in the channel. So hopefully we get even more people, and that way the discussion will get even better, I think. Now I might get crowded with thousands and thousands, but hey, I don't think that would be so bad. Well, if that got to be the case, I'd probably have you submit me your questions ahead of time, and that way I could get to everybody's. But for now, we definitely have a very manageable size of group, and it could get much bigger, I think, and still be very manageable. So if you know anybody, by the way, who wants to learn piano, let them know about this. If that's something they're interested in, if you know a family member or, just your friend or anywhere. I know some of us where we live, people are asleep right now, but that's okay. Just let others know, at least about the channel, because the more people that we can get learning piano, I think the better. I think the world will be like 0.5% better. What do you think? Maybe? I don't know. I think even 0.5% would be too big of a change, but I think it would be great if we had more piano players in the world. Yeah, you're welcome, John. Yeah, no problem. And like I said, love to see you out, and you're very welcome. All right, let's see. Shesk. Tim, what are the two sentences you use as a reminder of notes or on spaces? Oh, and lines on the bar. So treble clef lines are, I'm not going to write them all out. I'm just going to kind of write where these lines are. E for every, G for good, B for boy. You may have heard me use bunny or whatever. It doesn't matter, as long as the ones line up. So the most common one I use is every good boy deserves fudge or fries, whatever one works for you. So every good boy deserves fudge. The spaces, and remember always count from the bottom line to the top when reading those. And then the spaces spell the word face, F-A-C-E. The one I use for lines on the bass clef are good. Whoa, I wrote a bunch of rests. That's really weird. Good boys deserve fudge always. So it's a lot like the other one, except instead of starting on every, start on good. I go good boys deserve fudge always. You can come up with a totally different one if you feel like that one's too similar to the treble clef, which I've had some students have. You can come up with a different one. Great big dogs fight animals. I think that's what somebody told me one time. I was like, wow, that's violent. But hey, it works. Spaces. All cows eat So those are the ones I use. All right, everybody. I think I'm going to wrap it up here in a few minutes. I thought we had a really awesome lesson tonight. These are getting better and better. I've been doing them for maybe we've been doing them 2 months, maybe. I think like maybe the beginning of March or so, maybe the end of February. But I feel like they're getting a lot better. I feel like obviously I'm figuring out how to run one of these things, and I think we're just getting more quality questions. And so good job on your part, and I guess good job on my part. So I'm really happy with how this is going. Like I said, if you know others who would benefit from coming here, please let them know. Fridays and Sundays at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that was about an hour ago from wherever you're living now. Whatever an hour before that is the time you want to show up. And there's like a 97% chance that I will be to all the ones that we have scheduled. But things do come up every once in a while. So if you don't see one, don't be too discouraged. Doesn't mean I'm stopping them or whatever. But I definitely plan on being here, next Sunday and next Friday at the same time. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, Reco Minecraft. Really glad to have you out. Do you have a Let's Play channel? Cheska, are you asking me if I had a life? Me? I do have a life, Cheska. I have more videos to make. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I do. I do sit back and relax every once in a while, play some video games or something. I haven't played Minecraft in a long time, though, to be honest. But I did like Minecraft for a while. 10 people, that's good. I think that's a pretty good number. So anybody who's just checking us out, you've caught us at the tail end. We'll meet again on Sunday at 8 p.m. So about an hour ago from whatever time it is here for you. So it's really great to have you out. And thanks so much. So I'm just going to wrap it up here in a couple minutes. And, maybe answer a couple more questions. So, you stopped uploading. That's okay. But you still enjoy Minecraft, which I think is cool. Minecraft has such a cool community to it. There's a lot of people who are really excited about it. So it's really neat. It's really taken over. Like, I remember when it came out like 6 years ago or something. I was in the beta, and it was like way different than it is now. I mean, the general premise was the same, but it's just expanded beyond belief. Oh man, Shesk, you're making me do more work. I'm just kidding. Let's see. I don't know. I might play B flat blues again because I'm just trying to figure out what else I could play. I mean, I could like improvise some sort of tune, I suppose. Let me think. Let me change some things around. I wanted to play something in minor just because that's what we were talking about today. But I don't know. Let me impress some new people who may have come today. So I'm not going to toy around because that could take a while before I come with something that sounds really awesome. developing it ever since, really. About 28 now. So 11 years for this one. But I've been playing piano since I've been about 6. Oops. Yeah, so I started playing at the age of 6. I started playing because my parents wanted me to do something other than play video games. So that's what they had me do. I had a Sega Genesis at the time, and I did nothing but that. So they had me do music, and I guess that was a good choice since it's what my career is now. I love to play, and I love to teach. So I probably teach more than anything these days, but I still like to play. Yes, you're welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out, and I love to see the new people that are part of the crew. So, really awesome. Thank you, John. Thank you, John. That's very nice. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Shesk. Thank you, Manny, who said 10 out of 10. Thank you, Manny. All right, everybody. So if you just, logged in, I'm sorry you caught us at the very tail end. I just want to say one final time that we're going to meet again on Sunday at 8 p.m., so an hour and a few minutes ago from right now, depending on where you are in the world. And you can expect another one next Friday at the same time. So if you learned something today, give this video or this stream a thumbs up. To let other people know that it's a quality thing and let other people know about the stream. I love to have new and familiar faces, or names rather, pop up on the screen. So thanks, everybody. As always, have a great weekend, and I'll see you at the end of the weekend, actually, at least if you're able to make it. So you know who it is, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you. The next video I'm working on, Rich, is, like I said, I'm making a free course right now. So there will be some videos in that would probably be helpful for a beginner. I don't know the next YouTube. Like I said, we made that chart a few weeks ago, if you remember. I don't know. I think you were here. We did, like basically what kind of lessons do you want? So I'm going to start looking at that list and compiling them from there. Not exactly sure what the next video is going to be. But if you, have a suggestion, let me know on Twitter or in the comments of this video or anywhere. And hopefully I'll see it and I'll get back to you as I can. Oh, Robin's here. Hello, Robin. Great to have you. Have a great weekend as well. Oh, Molly, did you make it? Are you coming in just now, or did you were you here like the whole time? Great to see you again, by the way. I was wondering where you were last time. Just now. Oh, man. We're at, like, the very tail end. If I had the energy to teach everything again just for you, I would. But, I can't do that. But here's the thing, Molly, is that we'll be meeting again on Sunday at 8 p.m., so about an hour before now, but you did catch us on the tail end. So if you want to look through the stream as it's been going so far to look at what we talked about, but at least I got to say hello to you at the end here, and that you were able to make it to this one. Thank you, Molly, and always feel free to come out any of the times that you're able to make it. 8 p.m., which is an hour ago. I keep saying that, but because everybody lives in a different place. But yeah, I'd love to have you out again, and I'm glad I could at least see you again, and to know that you're still out there and watching. Great to know. So yeah, and if you ever have any questions, like if you watch this later, you can either tweet me on Twitter, email me, or leave it in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back to it. So thanks everybody. I'm not sticking around forever. I do love you all, but you know I don't know. I think if I stayed up too long, then I wouldn't get any videos done for this next week. So so anyway, thank you so much for coming out, and I'll see you later. Thank you. Oh, Molly, I think if you're Alabama, I think you're on East Coast Eastern Time, right? So it should be 9:09 right now. All right, so long everybody. Oh, it's 8:09. I wanted to see what you said. So you're an hour before us. So that would be 7:09. Yeah. If you're an hour behind us, because we would do 8, and then you would be at 7. So 7 o'clock your time, it seems. So I think you're on Central then, if I'm correct. So, so check. What your time zone is, and convert accordingly. So for real this time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks, and girls.